Hello viewers, welcome to another exciting edition of God's Eye. In today's broadcast we would be giving you the latest update on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Before we continue, hit the subscription button to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell for latest updates. G7 leaders hold virtual talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Tuesday to hold the Kremlin accountable if Russia carries out the threat of using nuclear weapons, hours after it launched its latest strike against Ukraine. Promised to inflict Russian President Vladimir Putin fired dozens of rockets into a Ukrainian town on Monday, killing at least 19 people. The strike continued on Tuesday. We condemn Russia's deliberate escalation measures, including partial mobilization of reservists and irresponsible nuclear rhetoric, which endanger global peace and security, the leaders said after the reunion. Said in a statement, "We reiterate that Russia's use of chemical, biological and nuclear weapons has serious consequences," the statement said. The leaders of the world's richest democracy have repeatedly sanctioned Russia since it launched its aggression in February, and while they have expressed their willingness to reach a peace deal, they're financial and pledged to continue to support Ukraine militarily. Aiming for a viable post-war peaceful solution, we will seek sustainable security and security measures to help Ukraine defend itself, secure its free and democratic future. We are ready to make other commitments with interested countries and institutions, as well as with Ukraine. Aggression. But they made it clear that Russian aggression violated the principles of the United Nations Charter, condemned many of Russia's recent actions, and called for the unconditional withdrawal of all troops and military equipment from Ukraine. We condemn these attacks in the strongest terms, and recall that indiscriminate attacks against innocent civilians are war crimes, the leaders said of recent airstrikes. "We will bring Putin and those responsible to justice," he said. G7 leaders have their sights set on Russia's recent annexation of his 4 regions in eastern and southern Ukraine. The annexation followed the same pattern as Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014. Putin stressed Monday's airstrikes were in retaliation for an explosion that partially collapsed an important bridge connecting Crimea with Russia. The bridge not only served as an important supply route for the Russian military, but it also held symbolic significance for President Putin and his control of the peninsula. "We solemnly declare that we will never accept this illegal annexation, nor the fake referendum that Russia uses to justify it." The G7 leaders also criticized Belarus's formation of a joint military force with Russia, which Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko announced on Monday to be deployed on the country's western border near Ukraine. The leaders also said that they had been concerned about the leakage of the 2 Nord Stream pipelines from Russia to Germany, and had suffered intentional damage. They obviously did not blame Russia, but this declaration welcomed the case. "We continue to impose additional economic costs to Russia, including individuals and organizations in Russia, and provide political and economic support for Russian illegal attempts, and to provide Ukraine's territory." The leader is changing the status. Ukrainian president said that the end of the oil and gas exporters would lead to peace and seek help to create an air shield. Ukrainian leaders were offered additional support after Vladimir Putin's recent attacks on civilian targets were denounced as war crimes during a video call with G7 leaders, including Liz Truss. Almost earlier in the day, President Zelensky called for a symmetrical response to Russia's attack on the energy sector and the energy stability of our country. He said, "Such measures can bring peace closer. They will encourage terrorist states to think about peace, about the futility of war." He added that further escalation of the war would require a strong new sanctions package to punish and completely isolate Russia. Mr. Zelensky told the G7 that millions of people would be grateful for help repelling an air attack, warning Russia still has room for further escalation. Following the crisis talks, G7 leaders released a statement promising to hold President Putin and those in charge to account. The group rejected attempts to illegally annex her 4 regions of Ukraine and promised to tighten sanctions against